Mr. Kristof, thank you again for letting Teen Inc. do this interview. We really appreciate it, and we're really honored to be here. What impact has your book, Half the Sky, made already as a result of its great success?
I think that it's helped build a broader conversation about the role of women in development. I think that the impact has less been in terms of surprising people about bad things that happen, and more making people think that if you want to address problems of global poverty, that the most cost-effective way of doing that is precisely to invest in educating girls and bringing women into the labor force. And frankly, we were pushing on an open door. This was an issue whose time had come, and I think that we were really lucky in the timing of it.
Journalists often speak of being torn between writing about terrible situations they witness and trying to fix them. How do you personally strike that balance?
By and large, I'd say I'm not torn in that way. I mean, there are moments, but in general, I think that the greatest impediment to change tends to be public awareness, and that's what I'm pretty good at. I mean, I have this great spotlight, and I can shine it on an issue and help project it on the agenda, and that tends to be a pretty effective way to start building the political will to generate change. And in general, I'm not torn by that crisis of confidence.
You and your wife, Cheryl Wu Dunn, often work together. Which came first, your romantic relationship or your work relationship?
The romantic relationship, and in fact, that was a little bit awkward at first because I was working for the New York Times in Los Angeles covering business, and Cheryl was in Los Angeles for the Wall Street Journal covering business. So we were competitors, and so we couldn't really talk about anything that either of us was doing. And my calls to her at the office were always, I was afraid I was going to get her fired. But it's been terrific to, not only share a marriage, but also share these professional projects.
Can you also describe the process of writing together?
We tend to talk through a project, how we want to approach it. One or the other of us will do the reporting. We almost never go out jointly and do reporting. And then typically that person will then do the writing. And then the other person will then go over it and edit it, typically quite heavily, and do a lot of changing. And then the first person will go back and look indignant and tinker some more with it. And the upshot is that I think by and large it's pretty hard to go through Half the Sky, for example, and figure out what parts started out written by Cheryl and which parts started out written by me. And part of that is that we tend to think a lot alike, but it really was very much a combined work product.
Did your perspective on any of the women's issues differ from the perspective of your wife?
I think Cheryl had a more kind of just intuitive awareness of a lot of the issues, while mine was more learned, if you will. The major sort of disagreement, if you will, was in the balance between research and studies and stories. And Cheryl I was always trying to insert studies, and Cheryl was always saying that makes it too boring, and so that tended to be part of the balance. But I can't think right now, right offhand, of any issue where we really had a different take on it.